imagine that, all those of you that were at the talk, what could you imagine that to be like, an isolation school? Yeah, no communication with the classroom teachers. What else?
You go in, you do your job, and you go
and
home.
you leave. You go into your little room and you leave. Yeah, sometimes it was that as well. Yep. Abstraction was worse. What sort of things were coming up in abstraction? You need to relieve today. You can't take those lessons. Yeah. What else? Oh no, we won't be doing that homework. My homework's more important.
Yeah.
Oh look, I don't think you need 4 positions. I think you can get by with just 2. You know, that's abstraction. And that was a group of schools as well. Then you move down to the 2 that were better. And I do think in New Zealand, and even in Taranaki, we definitely have some endorsement schools, which are not as good as integration schools. So endorsement is, yeah, we like reading recovery. Yeah, reading recovery is really nice, but you know, we don't all go to the junior team meeting when you run it. You know, you end up with 2 people there, and the principal likes it, but he doesn't know anything about it, and he doesn't really fight for it if anything comes up about it. You know, kind of just is easy going with it and coming and going. Do you know what I mean? We've got quite a few endorsement schools, really. But the best kind of school you could be was an integration school. So what does the word integration kind of make you think of?
Principals totally involved.
Yeah, like it's just part of every, we are a reading recovery school, you know, and they have high understanding and high commitment. And these are the features that those schools have. Active principals. So principals that actually put on the board the date that everyone's expected to be at the school team meeting. You know, because the reading recovery teacher is seen as a resource. It's important that you're having those meetings because it's important that you share all the wonderful stuff you've got to offer. That the principals create opportunities for communication and collaboration. It's not you just fighting for it. That the principal says, go talk to Joe about that. Do you know what I mean? Or yes, we want Joe to present at this thing, you know, or, you know, it'd be a good idea for Joe to come and do some talk with us about this, you know. Also that you've got both forms of conversation, informal and formal. So you have to have your formal once a term thing, but you can't just get by on walking past Mrs. Brown in the hall. You know, sometimes you have to sit down for 20 minutes with Mrs. Brown, you know, and really have a chat about where things are at. It's important. It's part of the whole puzzle. Problem solving to preserve fidelity, so you're not stuck on your own with that. Oh yeah, it is school production this term, but you know what, Lisa, you can still keep taking the kids. Just be mindful of when it's their turn on the thing. If it means you can only have a 20 minutes rather than a half an hour, that's fine, but we'd rather that than no lesson, everybody sitting there watching the seniors sing and dance. Do you know what I mean? So that's problem solving, working together. So not you saying, oh shit, man, I'm not going to take the kids for 3 weeks now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, well, we have to help Lisa with that. Do you get what I mean? Teacher buy-in. Oh, no, the kids have to go to reading recovery every day. Definitely. Oh, yes, no, that's important, you know, and rah-rahing it from the classroom end. That helped. And that it aligned with classroom instruction. So, you know how we do lovely book introductions before we do our reading and things like that? Are things like that following through into the classroom? Is that able to happen there? So they're just sort of good points to think about what makes a great model. It's those things. Those things are what make a strong model of reading recovery from research. So, you know, interesting point. This was a different one I went to on writing. Isn't that an interesting question? If you write, you also read. Someone mentioned this at the class. But if you read, you are not writing. So this shows how important writing is. Writing allows child to slow down the process of learning about print, yeah, because you have to make the full stop, don't you? And you have to make the capital letter.
Jasmine, are you able to share these with
Yeah,
us?
I mean, it's not very exciting. I mean, you
But
can
it's-
have it if you. Do you think it's helpful?
good,
Yeah.
yeah.
It should be
Okay,
quite good to
okay.
share, I
It might
think.
have spelling mistakes in it and stuff, but
That's fine.
okay,
Yes,
fair
yes.
enough. Yep, yeah, no, that's fine.
Thank
Yep,
you.
yeah, no, I don't mind at all.
Thank you.
Reading and writing on opposite sides of the same coin. They feed into each other, you know, and I think sometimes that top question is a question we need to ask ourselves sometimes. Are we sometimes going once over lightly in the lessons for too many days in a row on writing? And heaps of reading stuff, heaps and heaps. But are we kind of doing that a bit too much? And is it really time for us to have a real solid writing focus lesson? Because we might need to do that a bit more often, especially with kids that are finding things hard to gel. Yeah. This was the same lady. Writing about reading gives the best bang for buck for reading comprehension. Well, we know that, don't we? That's why most of the time we're writing stories about the book, can't we, generally? Unless something exciting's happened in their lives. Because, yeah, you're talking about the book some more, aren't you? And you're writing about something that's happened in the book. It's enhancing the comprehension. And it's the collaboration that we do as well. You know how we talk about what they're going to write, so we don't just say to kids, so what are you going to write? We have a chat about it, don't we? We work out what the best thing would be to write. It's a collaboration around the writing that makes it all sort of work. I think that asterisk is an interesting one. Find out what our children and our families do as literate people, readers and writers.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting point. Our lovely families, you know, lots of our kids have lovely families, don't they? And they all do lots of reading at home. You find the kids have got lots of books and they have a bedtime story every night. But how often does writing happen at home? You know, is writing the poor cousin at home? If it is, that really means it's even more extra important that the children are doing a lot of writing at school. You know, but finding out what the background of that kid's life is with writing, very interesting. They talked about how kids, sorry Pam, talked about how kids could be in like a lunchtime writing club. And so then they could sort of see writing as a bit of a fun thing to do.
Just when I said, sorry, when I was teaching in the classroom at the parent interviews, writing was a focus for that child.
Right.
I used to say at home, have a half-hour slot where you're not allowed to talk, but you had to write to
Ah,
each other.
Oh, that's a
right.
really
So
cool
they,
idea.
had to have something, tell mum something, you had to write it down. Mum had to do the same
Yeah,
back.
it's a really good, see that's meaningful writing, isn't it? Writing for a reason. And this is a biggie. And we need to think about this more in our lessons, we really do. I mean, it's something I often used to struggle with, especially kids that have been on forever, because what ends up happening then, they sort of
Writing for the sake of it, not for a purpose.
why am I doing this still?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Kate's got a story that she wrote yesterday. She wanted me to take a photo and send it to Mum and Dad,
Excellent.
which is what we did. She said, because we made up words.
What a
Mum
good
and
idea.
Dad would love those made up words. Take a photo of me and we'll send it to Mum and Dad.
so
got
cool.
it. So we did have it.
That's a meaningful context.
Yeah, yesterday.
Sometimes it doesn't take a lot, you know, but you got to think outside the square a little bit. One.